So, hello and welcome. My name's Steve Nobel, and today I'm speaking with Magenta Pixie on her book Divine Architecture and the Starseed Template. Magenta is an author and channel, and she's been communicating with the WhiteWinged collective consciousness of 9, a six-dimensional monadic-like structure for some 20 plus years. And they've spoken quite a bit about this time of collective awakening. The WhiteWinged collective consciousness of 9 present a model of working with an individualized matrix field, also known as the Merkaba, and through matrix architecture and the golden triad of ascension. And this is what we're talking about today. She's the author of Divine Architecture and the Starseed Template. Magenta's website is very easy to remember, magentapixie.com. How could you forget that one? Hi, Magenta.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for having me on today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Can I ask you about your journey? How did you get into becoming a channel and author?
Right. Okay. Well, that's quite a long answer, so I will cut that down as much as possible.
Yeah.
After much synchronicity in my life, I deliberately, consciously chose to connect in channeling. And I read this book about channeling, which was a series of meditations to assist you to connect with your spirit guide. I made connections immediately within the very first meditation, but they were with all sorts of different entities of different various dimensional structures and different senses of humor and all sorts. And finally, I made a connection with this light being. And over the years, that morphed into 9 beings, and then I started to work with the 9. So it was originally through meditation, and then after a while I made contact quite unexpectedly and surprisingly while I wasn't in meditation. At first I had to go into meditation to make that connection and get information and communication and then come out of meditation, and then it started to happen while I was just awake, you know, walking down the street, doing normal things, driving a car, wherever. So it was a period of training, I guess. They trained me, and I didn't know what for at the time or what I was being trained for, but I was being trained. So it was a conscious decision after much synchronicity and all sorts of things that led me to the point of making that conscious decision, and then it was working with them after that. So meditation was the main key, I guess.
Okay. And who are the WhiteWinged collective consciousness of 9?
Okay, so there are many things. On a spiritual level, one could call them angels from an angelic realm, an angelic structure. Looking into more of a spiritual stroke historical scientific level, they're extraterrestrial beings because they don't exist on this planet. Looking more metaphysically, they are me, many light years in the future. Looking biologically, they are apparently chemicals within the body, neurotransmitters, DNA structures that some partly have been discovered by biology, by science, and other parts that haven't. So they are a series of chemicals. I mean, there's a part of this that is the DMT in the pineal gland, which is them but an activator of them. So what they are is a DNA code that resides within every single human being and outside of the human kingdom as well, within animals, and we can activate them. But when you say, oh, they're angels, many people think, oh, well, they're just angels, or they're just extraterrestrials, or they're just me in the future, or they're just a chemical code, DNA code. But they're all of those things. The DNA is all of those things. So that's who the 9 are.
Wow. Now, I've got this book. It's a great book. There's lots of different messages in it. I guess the essential bit of it may be about the energetic shifts and changes going on now. Can you say something about their messages relating to that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we are in the middle of a huge energetic shift that is taking place ultimately within our consciousness. That's how we experience it, but it's occurring on the planet, geologically, within the universe, within other planets. It's occurring within our bodies, within the DNA structure. That's affecting the emotional fields. It's affecting our communication with one another, and it's affecting the actual system itself, the structure itself on this planet. So it will affect the political system and the financial system and the way the family is set up, the social structure. Everything is changing, and this isn't some big amazing thing that is just a one-off. It might be that way to us, but actually this is what happens with every planetary system and every structure itself. There is an evolutionary process that a soul or a structure of souls or groups of souls go through. Many know this path as ascension, and that in itself doesn't necessarily explain everything. It is a raise in frequency. It is as if we're moving from one place to another in an incline rather than a straight line. But that in itself doesn't explain everything either, because what actually happens is we incline and then we decline, and we incline and decline, and we go through curves. So there's a geometric structure that all consciousness structures follow, and ascension is that geometric structure, and we are in the major phase of this right now.
So, is there any timelines the collective give in terms of, this will happen in 20 years, this will happen in 50 years, that kind of thing?
But they can do that, yes. Their message to me, though, the most important message is now. So the answer to your question, ultimately, the most aligned message would be it's now. It's right now, this minute, as you're listening to this broadcast. It's always now, because that's the 0 point. If you want to look in a more linear sense, then 2017, the year we're in at the moment, is a very big transition. 4 years on from 2012, because 2012 2012 acted like a springboard, like a manifestation template into this 4-year jump. So 2012 was like a seed point on a universal collective level. So those individuals who are aware and activated, the ones we call the starseeds, will have been creating a manifestation with all that they felt emotionally and all they thought and all they learned in 2012. And that's geological as well as coming from the human. And then 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016 was like a 4-year window. And then 2017 is a manifestation of that seed point from 2012. And there are other sort of stargates. There's many series of cycles, and as I said, because of the 0 point awareness, every single day and every single moment is special and important and a day for manifestation. But there are certain days that are more globally important and special for manifestation. They're like stargates, so full moons, for example, and certain dates numerologically. We had the eclipse recently. That was a very big stargate then. So the next big year after 2017, I'm told, is 2021. But 2021 and 2022 and 2023, there is a great concentration in those years of yet another huge leap. And you see, we're going through this kind of parallel between organic awakening and technological awakening. And they're both running along in parallel, and 2021 to 2023 is a real manifestation, a real physical coming together of these two pathways. And when I say coming together, it's like an awareness, do we choose technology? Do we choose organic technology? Or do we take the best of both? How do we work with these two different pathways? The transhumanism or the organic starseed template, if you like. So that's all there now. We're creating it for 2021 to 2023. We're going to see this really big time in those years.
Well, I was an alternatives director of this kind of organisation for many years. I left in the winter solstice of 2012, just decided this is my point of leaving. The last four or 5 years have been very challenging, but this year has suddenly opened up. I feel the energies has opened up. I feel all the doors are opening. Is this common, or is it just me?
It's more than common. That's pretty much the template. 21st of December 2012, the winter solstice was a huge Stargate. And so many people will have made, life-changing decisions on that day. Others may not have felt anything, but that doesn't mean that something wasn't happening on that day for everybody. That was a significant date. And then, as you say, there's been a slight lull and a challenge over from 2013 to sort of 2016 that there's been a challenge to integrate everything. There was a great expectation amongst a lot of people that 2012, this is it, we're ascending, and everything's going to be bliss from now on. And the misunderstanding is that ascension, yes, you're going up in frequency and you are raising your frequency, but that doesn't mean you are going to be experiencing a manifested lifetime that is reflecting bliss, even though you are creating the electrical charge within that is bliss. It is about integrating all that into the physical body and into the physical reality and into the third dimension. And you have other energetic structures working at the same time. For example, the Service to Self group will be working to prevent the exact pathway that the starseeds and ascension are manifesting. The starseeds are manifesting this ascension path. There are other structures, and so that structure has to change and unravel. So this is why those in-between years between 2012 and before 2017 have been a challenge for most people. Bliss and wonderful, but challenging as well, because everything's being grounded and integrated, and also this revealing of what's been going on this planet for thousands of years, that's all come to the fore. 2017 is a bit easier because the manifestations are now coming together for people, and there will be many starseeds that are saying that exactly the same as you.
Can you explain the term starseeds for those who are... Some people are very new to it and some people have got a great understanding. What do you understand of starseeds?
It's just one word to explain a group of individuals, and there are many, many, many words that you can use to explain these individuals. Starseeds is such a good energetic match to explain these individuals, so that's why it's used. And what it would mean is ultimately these individuals have, if you like, come from the stars. Now, on one level, every single human being has come from the stars because there was a human template on Earth, a human organic being on Earth, and that being was tampered with or infiltrated with or enhanced, or whichever word you want to use, they're all correct, to create who we are today. And that was an incoming from outside of Earth. So every human being is a starseed, but what we mean by activated starseed is an individual who knows this, an individual who has been aware of this pretty much since birth. Since a very young age. They will have been different to most people. They will have always felt out of place, always felt that they're here for a reason, often felt that there's a job that they need to do. And many of these starseeds start trying to do this job at a very young age, as young as 5, 6, 7 years old, because they haven't come into their full activation, but the awareness of what they're here for is there. So starseeds are also known as wanderers, light workers, light warriors, the aware ones, the activated ones, the organic ones, the ancient ones. I mean, I could go on and on. These individuals will know who they are, and as children they will have been attracted to extraterrestrials, science fiction, Star Trek, space travel, telepathy. Going back when I was a kid, I was absolutely transfixed by the Tomorrow People. But it was
I remember them.
But it was more so than just a television program. These television programs will speak to you, and you'll be thinking, this is real. I know it is. It's not just some fantasy program. This is real. And triggerings will take place from these programs. Star Trek, it's marketed as sci-fi and space travel, but this will trigger people because this type of space travel exists. These type of extraterrestrial people exist. These kind of Star Federation groups exist. So memories are being triggered within starseeds. The ones that we can't call activated starseeds, they can still be activated. It's just that they haven't been. For some reason, they're not allowing that flow. They're not allowing that activation. They're stuck in their sort of superimposed matrix reality, if you like. But everyone is a starseed. When we use the term starseed, it's directed at those that are aware of this on some level and that are waking up to this and have had these memories. Either they might have had a fast tracking over the last 2 or 3 years, or they are individuals that have known all this since birth, really.
Yeah. What is a typical activation process like? How would you explain that to someone who's at the beginning of it? What could they expect, typically?
Well, one way is it's kind of like an epiphany, a realization. But really what's happening here is memory is being triggered. Now, there'll be certain, we could call these implanted codes, if you like. Now, they might come in the form of, say, a unicorn from the age of 4. You're drawn to unicorns. You dream about unicorns. You when you see a unicorn, you feel it's personally part of you and no one else. That's how you will feel. You think that unicorn is utterly there for me and me alone. This is how a young child will feel, because they haven't woken up to the greater awareness of this larger sort of cosmic structure that is humanity. And then when they get to a certain age, someone will say something, or they'll hear it in a television program or from another spiritual teacher, or they'll read it in a book, and it will be describing the exact experience that they've had since they were a child, or for the last 5 years, or for the last 10 years. So when they come together, this is through synchronicity, someone with this undiscovered, unexplored part of themselves, and they find someone or something that mirrors that inner code. They have this awakening, this trigger. It's a memory trigger, and that creates an epiphany. What that epiphany does is create sort of like, this, now I know what that means. Or it'll be something like, I don't know what that means, but my goodness me, this is significant to me. I need to take note. It will be very subjective. And normally in an individual ascension process, this very subjective path occurs in a solitary way. Let's take, for example, Jesus Christ. Whether or not you believe he really existed or whether he didn't, whatever your belief is, let's take Jesus Christ as a metaphor or as someone real. This is someone following a solitary, subjective experience. The people around him are not going through this. He's going through this alone, and so he teaches the others around him. That's kind of been the pathway since the beginning of our known history on this planet, at least. But now, this unique subjective experience that we are going through, which is exactly the same, it's extremely subjective and unique and personal. We're all going through it at the same time. So we can share it with so many other people because we're all going through it.
Wonderful. Now, where do the White-Winged Collective Consciousness of 9 say we're heading as a collective species?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are, as anyone who's sort of studied the spiritual landscape, if you like, or who's looked at physics, there are many timelines. This is the truth. There are many timelines, so there isn't just one future, and there are many ways to explain where we're headed. So what the 9 would say is, when you look at these timelines, and you could also see these timelines as dimensions, it's kind of the same thing, but in order to get this model of understanding through our third dimensional brain, I personally find it easier to see timelines as quantum versions of a possible future, and dimensions as different frequencies of awareness and of consciousness and of existence, but actually they're the same thing. So within these timelines are many different probable futures. So the 9 would say there's a high probability for this timeline, a low probability for this timeline, or simultaneous probabilities for these timelines. And you might see one timeline with others close to it with bleed-throughs. There are usually 3 more prominent timelines for each individual if you're perhaps reading the fields of one individual, and the same thing could be said for the planet. So what we're looking at here is timelines are created futures that are being manifested by individuals or groups of individuals and their consciousness. So let's look at the 9, and then maybe let's look at another structure that's perhaps a service to self structure. So the 9 are going to show me where they are from. They're going to show me where they live. But a service to self structure will show their conduit where they are from and where they live, and it's going to be completely different. And it just depends how many people jump into the pathway of one particular potential future and know that that future is where they are headed, and how many people jump into this other potential future and know that that's where they're headed. So we have many potentials. Now, those who are activated and aware, conscious starseeds following this path, knowing they're on a path of ascension, they need not really worry about manifesting a service to self future, because they're not in that trajectory. We experience different timelines. So Earth herself is more than one Earth, if you like. The Earth itself, metaphorically, will be more than one Earth, and different groups of individuals will experience different futures. So for the starseeds, it's very good. There are challenges, and we are all constantly working towards it. It's not as if we can say, "Hey, starseeds, you can all just sit back now, put your feet up, and just relax, because we are headed for the golden age." It isn't like that. What the message is starseeds, the golden age is definitely your most probable trajectory, but to get there, this is what you have to do, blah blah blah. That's kind of how it works.
Wonderful. Now, Magenta, your book is a wonderful book. I love the information there. I resonate with so much stuff. I know we could talk for hours, but I also know you're going to offer a meditation to our listeners.
Yes, I'd like to offer one of the meditations in the Divine Architecture and the Starseed Template. So if you just relax, you can close your eyes if you want to. You don't have to. You can be sat down, led down, just nicely relaxed. And take a couple of breaths. And I will begin the meditation. Within your meditation, imagine, if you will, that you are standing in front of a red door. Upon the red door is a big silver star, and above that star are written the words, "Awaken Starseed." You open the door and walk through. You find yourself in a small room. Upon the desk is a vase of red roses. Next to the vase of red roses, you see a little wooden box. On the top of the wooden box, you notice that your name is inscribed in silver letters, as well as the words, "Awaken Starseed." You open the box. Inside you find a little red crystal and a piece of black cord. There is also a piece of folded paper. You unfold the piece of paper and read the words aloud. Thread the crystal just as a bead upon the cord, O Starseed. You notice a tiny hole in the red crystal, just big enough to thread the red crystal onto the cord. You do this, and you place the cord with the red crystal around your neck. As soon as you do this, an orange door appears in the wall on the other side of the small room. You walk towards the orange door. Upon the orange door is a large golden star, and above that star are written the words, "Awaken Starseed." You open the orange door and walk through. You find yourself in a large, airy room. There is a big, comfy grey sofa with orange cushions and a pretty wicker coffee table with a bouquet of orange flowers arranged in a beautiful glass container. You walk over to the comfy sofa and sit down. It is so comfy, you find yourself slowly drifting off into a dreamy, sleepy state. In the half-sleep state you find yourself in, you hear a voice speak to you. Take the crystal of orange hue, take the journey to find the truth of you. You blink a couple of times, and your gaze lands upon the orange flowers before you. You lean forward to get a closer look at the flowers. You notice in the centre of one of the flowers a shiny orange stone. You take the stone from the centre of the flower to discover that it is a crystal with a hole in, just like the red one. You thread the orange crystal onto the cord and place it back around your neck. You now have two pretty crystals hanging around your neck. One is red, the other is orange. As soon as you do this, a yellow door appears in the wall on the other side of the large room. You get up off the comfy sofa and walk towards the yellow door. Upon the yellow door is a large platinum star, and above that star are written the words, "Awaken Starseed." You open the yellow door and walk through. You find yourself in a courtyard. There is a wooden bench in the corner of the courtyard by a bed of yellow tulips. You walk over to the bench and sit down. You notice that in the bed of yellow tulips is a small stone basket. You reach over and pick up the little stone basket to find a little book. The book has a yellow cover. Written on the front of the book are the words, "The Starseed Awakening," followed by your full name. You open the book and begin to read the words on the first page. "Welcome, Starseed Seeker, he who has come before and is here again. Find the yellow crystal and allow it to join with the others and create the rainbow necklace of memory." You flip through the other pages of the book, which are blank. There are no more words in the book, save the small passage about the yellow crystal and the rainbow necklace of memory. When you flip to the last page, you discover a picture of a very cute-looking garden gnome. You look up from the book and you return your gaze to the bed of yellow tulips. You stand up and walk over to the tulips and look between them, and you find a small garden gnome just like the one in the picture. He holds out his hand. In his hand is a yellow crystal with a hole in, just like the orange crystal and the red crystal. You thread the yellow crystal upon the cord. You now have 3 crystals, one red, one orange, and one yellow. Just as you do this, you notice before you a shimmering green light. This light gets bigger and bigger until you realize this is a Stargate before you. You feel so drawn towards it, and so you walk up to the Stargate and you step through. You find yourself in a beautiful meadow. In front of you is a building made of pure crystal. The crystal shimmers like a rainbow and seems to be changing colour minute by minute. First it is green, then blue, then indigo, then violet. You walk towards the crystal building. The door to the building is green and has 2 words written upon it, which simply say, "The Palace." You open the green door and walk into the Crystal Palace. The palace interior is of such breathtaking beauty. You notice your environment. What does it look like? You feel so peaceful and so very joyful inside this beautiful crystal palace. You feel safe. You feel balanced. You feel loved and supported. You feel absolute bliss. There is a white door in front of you. The white door opens and a beautiful woman steps through. She has long white hair and she is wearing a long white robe with a golden sash tied around it. She wears a crystal necklace around her neck. It is a silver cord with crystals of green, blue, indigo, violet, gold, silver, platinum, magenta, and white. She walks over to you. "I am Star, the white goddess," she says, "keeper of the crystal flame." She hands you a black velvet bag. You take the bag and look inside. You see 4 crystals: green, blue, indigo, and violet. For you to complete the rainbow necklace of memory until the next phase. The next phase, you ask? What do you mean? There will come a time when you will create the royal crystal crown. For now, you have the crystals to complete the rainbow necklace of memory, and it will show you the way. The white goddess smiles at you, and then turns and disappears back through the white door. You look back at the 4 crystals in your hand. They too each have a hole in them, and you thread them upon the cord alongside the other crystals. You now have 7 crystals: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. You put the rainbow necklace of memory around your neck. As soon as you do this, you find yourself back in the little room, standing in front of the red door. You touch the crystal necklace around your neck to check that it is still there. Yes, it is still there, you say to yourself. I can take it with me. You begin to feel the awareness coming back to your physical body. At this point, allow the awareness to return slowly into each part of your body, bringing your awareness consciously into each part of your body in turn, by wriggling your toes and your fingers, by moving your head or stretching different parts of your body. When you feel your awareness is fully back into your physical body, then you can open the red door and walk through as you open your eyes.